Hopefully this uplifts you and encourages you to just move forward with the faith and just know that God has you regardless. So this message is, without a fire, how would you know a firefighter exists? Meaning, without the enemy being present, how would you know that there's a greater power that exists? How would you know that your Savior is here for you? How would you know without trouble that there's good? Without bad, you won't know the good. They both work hand in hand. And yes, God uses the enemy for his will and his plan as well. They're not cahoots, but he will use the enemy to serve what he's trying to accomplish. So at the end of the day, if God can use the enemy, he's sure going to use you. Even with your sin and imperfections, God will use you. It's about what God is trying to establish here on earth through the kingdom. Whatever God is doing here on earth is to build the kingdom. Don't look at the enemy as a threat. Look at him as an opponent you cannot miss. Look at him as a target you cannot miss. He will use what the enemy is trying to create against you, and he will turn it. Romans 8:28, he will turn it around for your good, because it will give him glory. And it will create a testimony for other believers to believe as well that God still exists. We all heard the conversation before when people say, like, how do you know God exists? You know, how do you know that he has power? How do you know the kingdom? How do you hear his voice? So you can't see air, but you can feel it. Like you can't see the wind and where direction is going, but you can see the aftermath. You can see the wind when it brushes through the trees, right? Or you can see that the leaves have brushed up in the air because the wind has picked it up. God is the exact same way. God moves like air. You can't see him, but you know he's moving. You see him doing the aftermath. Whenever you see the enemy show up, just know God is going to come through, because God is using the enemy for his introduction. So without the enemy causing bad, this is when God's character steps in. This is when God's like, okay, y'all know the big bad wolf Satan, right? Y'all know that he's here to kill, steal, destroy. Watch what I do when I come through. That's what God's saying. God says, here comes the good. Here comes the healing. Here comes the deliverance. Here comes the saving. Here I am. Here I go. So you've seen the enemy, but you haven't seen me yet. Meaning you haven't seen the best of what God can do. But it takes the enemy to show and reveal who God is. Do not be worried. You know, don't get in your feelings about what Satan is doing, because at the end of the day, Satan is introducing God at the same time. To save someone out of a burning house, you have to walk through the fire. So that's the exact same thing God does with us as well. In the Word, God says that even Satan is on a leash. Satan has to go to God and ask permission to do certain things, especially in the story of Job. He had to go and ask God permission. He had to go to what? The God with all authority and power. Satan doesn't have all that much control as he claims he wants, or whatever illusion he's trying to create in your circumstance and think that he